Hey everyone, this is Steve Weintraub with Collider, and I'm here at the Cinema Center at the Toronto International Film Festival. I want to give a huge thank you to Range Rover Sport for being our sponsor this year and allowing us to champion movies of all sorts here in Toronto, like Mr. K. How are you guys doing?
Very well.
Yeah.
I really want to start with congratulations. I've been a fan of your work for a very long time. It's really, really cool that you're here. And I'm going to ask the generic thing up front because no one has seen the movie yet. So how have you been describing the film to people?
What it's about?
Yeah.
Well, it's about a traveling magician who comes to a hotel. He wants to only stay there for one night. And then things happen. He gets entangled with all the people in the hotel. And slowly but surely, things become more claustrophobic.
Yes. What was it like for you reading the script for this for the first time and seeing what Tallulah was trying to accomplish and what drew you to the material that said, oh, yeah, I got to do it?
Well, the script came with a PDF that had images as to what the inspiration for the look of the film would be. And the screenplay was excellent. So it was, I knew it would be something I'd want to be a part of immediately. And then Tallulah and I had a Zoom meeting and all worked out.
I was very surprised when I was watching it. The production design's fantastic. So talk a little bit about coming up with the design of the hotel. And, you know, obviously you're making this on a budget, but you need to make this look like a big place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it had to be a real character in the story, of course. So it was very important how it looked and how we did it. But what we did was the parts that had to change, those parts we built. And the parts that didn't have to change, we found different locations and we adapted them. That's how we did.
Well, something that also I was struck by was sometimes, you know, there's not a lot of extras in certain scenes, but there are so many scenes which, like, you have beds upon beds, like 25 people drinking and having fun. Then you have the kitchen scenes where it's just so many people. And I'm like, A, how tough was it to get all these people to do these scenes? And what was it like for you collaborating with such... You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy.
It was a bit claustrophobic. The look of the claustrophobia in it, with all of the people, was accurate. That is how it felt. There was one fellow that I remember we were shooting, and there was somebody that had some kind of something. They had some issue going on that was clearly not about the film.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No, I can't remember.
It was and he like knocked on the door.
Oh, yes, I remember. Yeah.
Some of the people were a little bit out of sync.
He suddenly came in at a strange time and had a totally different story in his head. Yeah, but that was funny. But we had a very, very good person who worked with worked with extras, and so it went very smoothly. Actually, I thought it would be much more complicated. But it wasn't. We had also an excellent first AD who really did it so well that it was smooth.
You haven't, if I'm not mistaken, you haven't made a film in, I think, like 10 years.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong about that?
No, that's true. Yeah.
So I'm curious, what was it about this material that, like, sort of got you back, if you will, or you know what I mean?
Well, this one I had the first draft of this finished 20 years ago, so I've been trying to get it made. It just took a while. So this was always my sort of the one film I really, really want to make, and it just wasn't an easy one. So it just took a lot of effort and a lot of fighting to get it done.
Yeah, I think so many people don't realize what it really takes behind the scenes and how many people struggle forever to try to make that, you know, one project.
Yeah, and you I mean, it's all about then also just hanging on and if you believe in something, you know, to really just go for it. And in the end, it's here. So I'm so happy, and it's even in Toronto. So so it's fantastic.
Yeah, when you were making it, at any point did you think, oh, we're going to Toronto with this?
I didn't think that far, actually. We were just trying to make the movie, trying to fight ourselves into, because of course the budget wasn't very big for what we had to do. So we were just really fighting to get everything in there and to make it as beautiful and as good as possible.
I personally assumed it would play in certain festivals. I thought I had a feeling it would be more likely it would play in a European festival, because I think there's European film funding, some government money in it. I know that can have some help with. It doesn't necessarily mean something will be in a festival, but it can. They have a certain amount of movies they need to put in the festivals have European funding. So I kind of thought it would be playing at a European festival, but I'm glad it's.
No, it's fantastic.
I've shot a lot of. I've acted in a lot of things. I've been here and toured with my own films and shows in Toronto multiple times. I was just saying in the car over, I've been here a lot, but I don't know why I'm talking about that.
It's fine. So I'm a fan of your work, and like I said, and I'm always curious when I talk to actors, like, what is it like for you mentally getting ready before you're going to step on set that first day? So for this particular role, what were you doing? What were you thinking? And how early on were you sort of examining how you wanted to play the character?
Well, as soon as I looked at the script or read the script, which I think was more than a year, because there was some delay at one point. Right. And so I had time to think about it. I was particularly thinking about stuff at the end, and the scene changed a little bit.
Well, I want to do spoiler free just to make sure. Yeah.
But I mean not meaning that the scenes at the end, not in a certain way it was big, and in a certain way it wasn't. There were things that changed in the screenplay. I think it had something to do. Some of it had to do with budgetary elements. It was a slightly different a situation, and I had certain thoughts about the end. The end was actually really important to me. I mean, mainly that it is something that was interpretable, would have various interpretations by people. I like that as an audience member. I like that in films when I can think about things in various ways. So that always was retained no matter what. But there were differentiations in the end, and I had different thoughts about it that evolved while we were shooting.
Yeah, that's my favorite type of art, is when everyone walks out and can say something different.
Yeah. Yeah, and think something individually in their own mind.
So I'm fascinated by the editing process, because it's where it all comes together. So you get in the editing room with the footage. How did the film possibly change as a result of any friends and family screenings?
Well, it got tighter. So some scenes disappeared to make it even more like a flow that you have Mr. K just being dragged through this whole adventure. But essentially, it follows quite much the script, I must say. It's just, you just tighten it, and that's actually all that happened.
Was it always going to be called Mr. K? How much did you debate the title?
No, it was always Mr. K. Is, of course, I was inspired by Kafka, so that was for me. The character is very much I love the characters in Kafka's books. That there are people who you don't know you don't know where they came from or what they're thinking, but they're put into a situation that they don't understand, and that whole thing that was also Mr. K, right? That's the story of him trying to figure out who am I inside of this? What's the meaning of all this? Why does everybody know more than me, or is there something else going on? So Mr. K was always the title.
One of the things is that you have to make that choice of how much will Mr. K react to the situations that he's in. Will he be calmer? Will he start getting more excited? Like that level of, you know what I mean? So how much did you guys talk about that level of how frustrated is he getting at what point? How do I want to play this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There were certain, I would say most of the scenes, it was pretty evident, but there were certain scenes where there was a lot of discussion, and we really had to figure out the tone, and it just depended. But I'd say 98% of the scenes it was pretty evident, and then there were 2% of the scenes where we really had to discuss and go through things and figure out the proper tones.
So I was looking at my cheat sheet while they were giving me that. So you worked actually, if you would like to answer, I'm so sorry I interrupted.
About how, sorry,
the level of like how to play certain scenes, because Mr. K.
I agree with Crispin. We had most scenes just flowed from what the scenes are and the context of the scene, and then we had a scene that we we really had to discuss, and we had Crispin had some ideas, I had some ideas, and we were we had to get together and find out how find the way. So, but
and somehow some of those scenes it did make a difference, like what the tone and what the level was. So
I think that's always a process in making something. You're passionate and you want to make something good, and it's always a discussion and a finding out, like, okay, where are we going? So
I ask this of everyone because it usually leads to some interesting stories for both of you. You see the shooting schedule in front of you. What day do you have circled in terms of I can't wait to film this? And what day is circled in terms of how the F are we going to film this?
Well, this was I was in almost every scene. So there's some kind of just overall pacing that you have to know. You just kind of know you're going to be working all the time. It was a lot of work.
Oh, it's a marathon.
Yeah. And I've played lead roles and I played supporting roles, and lead roles are often there's just a pacing yourself to be able to complete it, because it is a lot of just hours and work.
Was there a certain day of the shoot that you were looking forward to?
There were. I'm always when I'm working, I'm always concerned. It sounds funny, but I always am worried. I'm always concerned that of making sure that I'm not going to do something terrible. But it's actually a difficult pressure. I don't know if all actors feel that way, but that's something I'm genuinely always concerned about.
I've not to interrupt, but I've spoken to so many actors who you think, like, I've spoken to Joaquin Phoenix, and he talks about his nerves, and like, no matter who it is, everyone, I mean, I think it shows that you care about the work.
Yeah. I mean, I would, you mentioned him, I would not be surprised about that at all with him, because I can tell he, as you said, really cares about making sure the work is good, and it is good. So I'm sure he has standards for himself and wants to do well. And so there's a pressure. I'm always very relieved when I've finished shooting a film.
It's so interesting hearing. Listen, I think it gives a lot of hope for people out there who want to act, that even someone like you is, you know what I mean? Like, you're not just, no one thinks they have it all the time.
Yeah, I think that would be, well, I mean, I suppose it would be nice to feel that way. And then maybe there are people that feel that way and it all works out. It is possible, but I always feel concerned. Well, when I act in my own films, I don't feel as concerned about that because I know I can fix it in editing or cut something out. But because I don't have that when I'm acting in something, I feel like I've got to make sure every time it's good because you never know what's going to be. I mean,
what's going to be cut in and cut out.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, I also, as time has gone on, I like to give variation because I also edit my own work, my own films, and I do know that it is hard to know sometimes if there isn't a variation what level or tone or what can be good in the editing room. So it is good to have variations.
I want your answer, but the truth is that's one of the things about some directors know exactly the level of performance they're looking for, but there are certain scenes in every movie that it is better, you could argue, to play a scene a few different ways because how the edit's going could determine what you need out of the next scene in the film.
Yeah, and that I appreciated that with Crispin. He had he would give a new performance every time, which gives me also a lot of choice.
I do that more now. Earlier in my career, I would be trying to get something very specific, and I would keep honing in on that. I'm not sure if that is necessarily better or not. But I find that directors like it better. I can understand why. I can understand why.
The thing that I'm fascinated about movies and what I love talking about is the fact that there is no right way to make one. And some people will shoot with one camera and look for something very specific, and others are looking for that variation. And there's no right way to do it. It's just the way you make art.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you can feel like there's a right way at the moment.
Yeah, and especially because you want a scene to say something specific, and then of course you just have to try to see whether the performance or whatever is in telling that, and that could be in different ways maybe, and I'm not Crispin, so when Crispin does something, he has to make it his own, right? So he can tell it, and I have to just see like, okay, is this going to tell the story or tell the scene the way I think it needs to be in the story.
Completely. I'm just about out of time with you, and I always ask this of everyone. You've done other films, and you've made films. You've done a ton of stuff. If someone is actually, besides Mr. K, if someone has actually never seen your work before, what is the first thing you'd like them watching, and why?
This one. Because I've been working on this one for 20 years, so I definitely wanted to see this one.
I actually very much recommend Mr. K. I usually will let people be like, you got to say something else, but I'm going to let you go on Mr. K. Because it's totally worth watching.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say there's a new one about to come out that is my own film, and I've been working on it for many years, and I keep my fingers crossed. I really believe it's going to be done within a couple of months, and I'll start touring with it next year. And people can find out about it on crispinglover.com. I'll start making announcements, or Instagram, or all of those things. But I would like people to see it.
Does it have a title?
I don't reveal the title until it's completed, mainly because IMDb, there's all kinds of false information on IMDb, and they've made it harder to put the correct information. And I'll correct things about all kinds of stuff, and they used to correct it, but they don't anymore. So if I give a title out right now, it's listed on IMDb, at least IMDb Pro, as Untitled Crispin Glover project or film. But it will, when it's ready to release, then the title will be
I totally understand. Well, listen, I really want to say a sincere congratulations for Mr. K being in the Toronto International Film Festival. You guys did great work. And I hope people seek it out, and look for more interviews on Collider soon. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.